So when we're talking about doing some kind of work, the large majority, specifically around 45.2%, actually prefer working as truly equal partners alongside AI. In the end, what's important for workers is that they feel at ease when they do things themselves. That's the point, really. Hello everyone, it's Yerum. There's this idea that AI will replace humans. Amidst this pervasive, somewhat vague fear that AI is poised to take over absolutely everything, there is in fact a noticeable and increasing sense of fatigue regarding AI technology. Therefore, I've brought here a paper that was recently published by Stanford University, specifically on November 10th, and it's titled The Future of Work with AI Agents. So this can generally be viewed as a rebuttal to that common belief that AI is going to replace humans. It's somewhat critical of AI developers, suggesting they aren't really listening to the voices of those working directly in the field. It goes on to discuss how AI technology ought to be developed and what types of technologies will genuinely capture significant attention in the future. So a large-scale study has been released that analyzes the role of AI from the perspective of human workers, rather than just focusing on automation or AI replacing something. Since AI is changing the world so much, I thought we should really take a look at the contents of this paper and give it some serious consideration. The entire document is a whopping 44 pages long. There are quite a considerable number of diagrams, but I will just highlight the most important key messages for you. So the central and most crucial aspect is really about understanding the actual preferences that people hold and exactly how they would truly prefer to see AI being utilized, viewed entirely from the human standpoint. So as you can clearly see displayed here, there are 1,500 domain workers. They conducted a significant number of voice interviews with these on-site workers in order to collect their preferences regarding automation for each specific job role. They also gathered data on what's referred to as the HAS, which stands for the Human Agency Scale. This term essentially represents the level of human initiative or how much humans prefer to be in control of their work. These 1,500 workers are distributed across 104 distinct occupations, and 52 AI experts assessed the current technical automation capabilities for these particular job roles, along with the Human Agency Scale, or HAS, that was mentioned previously, considering how well current technology can automate tasks and functions. These AI experts also assessed the HAS level from their perspective. So what they created here, which they refer to as the Work Bank, is essentially a database built by gathering and integrating all the conversations and perspectives from actual field workers and AI specialists. While there are many different aspects covered, the section that's especially worth highlighting is this one right here. Now in subsection 3.1, looking at job-related automation from the standpoint of the workers, it shows that for approximately 46.1% of all jobs, the workers are generally quite positive about AI automation. On the flip side, this could also be interpreted as slightly more than half being not positive about automation. Looking at the graph below, you can see that they asked why workers want automation, and the highest proportion is right here. Do you see? They are saying that they want to allocate their time towards engaging in tasks that are considered more valuable. So there's this desire to replace those repetitive and tedious tasks, you see. Ultimately, it's viewed more as AI being a helpful assistant that makes their work more valuable, rather than it completely replacing their jobs. But is that truly the situation across the board? Not always. If you look here, in fields like computer science, management, and business or financial operations, it's about 50%. But in the arts and sports area, in art, design, and media, it's only 17.1%. However, in creative fields or roles where human emotions and sensitivity are important, the preference for automation drops quite significantly to 17.1%, which is a noticeable difference. So, depending on the specific nature of the occupation, the inclination towards automation can be significantly less. And even when there is a preference for it, the focus tends to be more on dedicating time to activities that are perceived as more valuable, rather than the complete substitution of their work. Now, the next diagram is interesting. It's divided into 4 quadrants. If you look closely, the horizontal axis shows AI expert-rated automation capability. So the question is, just how well can AI actually perform automation? The higher it goes, the better AI is at automating. Furthermore, areas where workers themselves have evaluated and indicated that automation would be beneficial have been assigned either high or low scores accordingly. So simply put, these green areas indicate where workers would truly like automation. And so, there are certain areas where artificial intelligence can handle automation quite sufficiently. For instance, reading and interpreting reports or scheduling appointments with clients. For instance, to manage the quality of a system, AI can now sufficiently handle things like generating periodic reports and such. These are things AI can handle. But there are areas where workers don't want AI, even though it's capable. This is a red zone. For instance, consider computer network support specialists. They investigate hardware and and software products. While AI could certainly handle this task, they seem to prefer conducting the investigation themselves. Or if you look at logistics analysts, for instance, they might contact potential vendors or determine which materials are currently available. It seems they feel that these sorts of tasks do not necessarily require automation. Conversely, there are certain areas where workers genuinely desire AI assistance, particularly in tasks where AI is currently somewhat deficient, such as when video game designers are developing schedules for game prototypes in collaboration with their production staff. So, from the worker's perspective, managing schedules is really complex and draining. When production staff and designers work on a game prototype, designers want to focus on the design itself. They really want to focus on the creative process itself, but from an AI perspective, scheduling game development is quite different from simply setting up appointments with clients. Creative ideas can come at any time, technical issues might arise, and there are many variables. Designers really want to fully grasp all the back and forth in relationships and coordinate schedules in real time, but AI is still completely unable to do this. Now, for computer scientists, they handle things like operating budgets. I did a lot of that in graduate school. They have to juggle budget adjustments, differentiating between salaries, project costs, and research funds. But computer scientists really want to focus more on their research. We do wish AI could handle all this, but it's not really easy for AI to do that. It's more than just crunching numbers. AI would also need to predict the direction of future research efforts and figure out how to allocate resources across multiple projects. This truly demands a very high level of judgment, and that's where AI is currently falling short. And there are things AI can't do that workers don't really want to do either. For instance, a ticketing agent working in the airline industry often has to handle situations like lost, delayed, or even misrouted baggage. Dealing with these kinds of issues certainly involves a significant amount of emotional labor. When an issue arises, we wish automation could handle it, but this isn't something that can be fully automated, and AI would struggle even more. So, whether we look at these tasks through a computational or artistic lens, there are some areas where AI can be appropriately used and others where it can't. Specifically, AI excels at many tasks that workers aren't particularly eager to perform, such as the ones highlighted in red. Of course, there are also areas where AI is heavily used, about 50%, though not in the arts. But conversely, there are many tasks that workers really want AI to handle, but it still can't do them well. From this perspective, the paper interprets AI not as a replacement, but as a tool to alleviate certain tasks. Specifically, when you examine the following diagram, this circular graph clearly illustrates the HAS levels that I previously mentioned. This study analyzed the scale of human agency, indicating that for the vast majority of tasks, approximately 45.2%, individuals prefer collaborating with AI as equal partners. So if you move to H1, it means preferring complete automation. Or H5 is completely human-led. But instead of going to such extremes, people actually prefer a more balanced approach, either somewhat more human-centric or slightly more AI-centric. So what exactly is this telling us? In the end, workers feel more secure when they handle tasks themselves. That's the point here. So they've reached a definitive conclusion regarding the specific capabilities we should cultivate. Focus on this particular section, everyone. Please take note of this. So, going forward, for those of you who have children or are currently developing new areas, these are the kinds of things that they are saying will be important. Now, if you look over here to the left, it indicates the current average wages being higher. Currently, experts who analyze data and information earn very high salaries. It's true. Or professions that involve constantly monitoring processes, materials, and the surrounding environment are indeed very labor-intensive, and they also command high wages. But can you observe how significantly these have been declining? Now, on the right side, this essentially refers to a high degree of human agency. Tasks where humans are more in charge, such as organizing, planning, or determining the order of work, which are areas where AI doesn't perform well, are significantly increasing in importance. Individuals who possess strong planning abilities will undoubtedly receive much more recognition. Or roles such as training and teaching other people, which were previously not very prominent, are now becoming very important and are rising significantly. In fact, the roles where humans take the lead in training and teaching others will actually gain more attention. And you can see that roles involving communication are also climbing in importance. So tasks like data processing or analysis, which AI easily replaces, are declining. And roles that involve building or maintaining relationships, or actively supporting and caring for other individuals, are suddenly rising in importance. These are certainly things that humans can do much better. Things like interpersonal relationships and organizational skills are increasing in value. There's quite a bit of content in the paper, so I really do recommend you take the time to read it thoroughly. But the core idea is this: what AI is capable of doing and what it is not. But we are actually going to implement this in human society. Instead of jumping to conclusions about whether AI will replace humans, we should focus on how humans perceive this change and how we can foster collaboration. This perspective is crucial, and it seems we will likely steer in that direction. The initial prediction is that jobs with a high degree of human agency, meaning those where human initiative is very significant, significant are going to become considerably more valuable and highly regarded in the future. It might seem like an obvious outcome, but presenting it with research findings makes it particularly interesting. Moreover, AI benchmarks are getting higher, and this is the fastest large language model in the world. While these achievements are important, the success of AI development isn't just about creating impressive technologies. Rather than that, the graph I presented earlier indicates that we should prioritize exploring and cultivating aspects where humans truly have a need. And these days, there's a lot of talk about how people who are really good at using AI are more successful, but ultimately, the value of individuals who are truly skilled in areas that AI still finds difficult will clearly increase, following the fundamental principle of supply and demand. Isn't it time to reflect on what uniquely human capabilities are? So, for AI developers, who exactly are you developing these technologies for, and what specific problems are you earnestly trying to solve? It truly makes us think deeply, and for leaders of countries or policymakers, they need to carefully consider what to teach future generations, what policies to implement, and how to operate the system effectively. For all workers, employees, and business people, it's incredibly important to think about how to successfully collaborate with AI and what valuable contributions to create. It's a great paper that makes you think deeply. While there are many good books, I recommend reading this paper slowly. Don't just memorize the knowledge, but think about how you will act and what you will do in the future. I'd love to see your comments, and we'll also take time to think about it seriously. This has been Error.